You and the previous coaching staff both have connections to Gus Malzahn.
Yep.
How different is your offense from theirs?
There's not a whole lot of differences. I mean, again, I grew up, played for Gus. I've played in our offense. I've coached in it now for 11 years. And I think there's not a lot of secret. Chad, learned the offense from Gus a long time ago when they were both high school coaches. So there's a lot of similarities in the styles. And, I know we obviously in the run game, we maybe do things a little different here or there. And then in the passing game, things that I have my personality with, and obviously Coach Dykes and his background may be a little different, but overall the scheme and the philosophy is pretty much the same.
When you take over a new offense, what are the first steps that you and your offensive staff go through to start implementing what you want from these guys?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all they got to understand the expectations, how we want to play, the tempo, how we want to practice, the details, the discipline. We're not a real detailed bunch right now. We don't have great discipline. Our guys are really they want to be good. They're really their want to is really good. So we just got to get them doing things at a high level all the time. And so that's the first thing you try to instill in them. And then just from a schematic standpoint, the spring you get 15 practices. It's not a whole lot of time. And so you're just trying to, the first spring, get your foundation, your base runs, passes, and protections and those things. You're not putting the whole system in. You're just trying to get a foundation. So over the summer they can work. And you come back in the fall and you have something to build on. You're ready to go.
It's easy as an outsider to look at it and say, look at the quarterback first because he's got the ball on every play.
Yep.
But when you're laying the foundation for your offense, are there other things you have to solidify before you even really get to developing those quarterbacks?
Well, no, everything. It's all at the same time. You definitely got to have a quarterback. I know this. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. And, we fortunately feel like we got some guys that give us a chance maybe. And but we got to be good everywhere. So, obviously the offensive line's a place you go to. Do you have the physicality and the ability and the athleticism? Do you have any depth? Receiver right now, we've got to build some depth because lost some guys early. And, running back, we have some guys coming back. And then obviously the tight end H-back position. So you really can't, you don't have the luxury of taking time and focusing on one spot more over the other. You got to focus on it all and bring it all along at the same time.
You mentioned those receivers who are leaving early. When you got hired, was there any effort to try to talk Cortland and Trey into staying?
Well, it was too late. I had recruited Trey when I was at Auburn. And it came down to Auburn and LSU and him being a Louisiana kid. I think I got hired about 4, 5, 6 days after he signed with an agent. Otherwise, probably could have changed that maybe. I don't know. But no, hey, look, we're excited for those guys. They had a great season. They're going to have great careers at the next level. And it's a good problem to have, and it just gives young guys here an opportunity to step up and hopefully get some guys in this fall that can help add some depth to the group.
You mentioned the quarterbacks. There are some teams out there that run exclusively out of the shotgun. How much do you do that? Will they be all shotgun, or will you have them under center at times?
We base out of the shotgun. I mean, a majority of the time, yes. I mean, it'll be similar to what everyone's used to with what SMU was doing last year with Chad. But we do go under center some. Our quarterbacks do know how to take snaps under center. So, but we're probably 90%, gun, and that's just who we are.
You mentioned the offensive line and the importance of solidifying that. And a lot of coaches talk about the timing and the chemistry they develop by playing next to each other week after week.
Yep.
But you guys also signed 3 junior college offensive linemen. How does that balance when you start to sort out, you and Coach Powell, whether to play returning players or bring these new guys in and kick them in right away?
We're going to play the best 5 guys. I mean, that's the honest truth. If it's new guys, great. If it's returning guys, great, And that's what you have this spring to try to learn those guys and get them better fundamentally. Some guys won't get here till the fall. So it'll be fall camp till we probably sort all that out. You do want to get guys in position where they can start to get continuity. And ultimately, if you can have enough depth to have 3 tackles, 3 guards, and 2 centers, you can have a good team. And so you don't play 3 tackles at a time, but it gives you depth at all those positions. If you have more than that, great. And so that's what we're always working for. Okay, we can find our best 3 guards, our best 3 tackles, our best 2 centers, and whoever that is, that's who we'll go to battle with.
You inherit an offense that has 3 running backs who've had some success in the past, in Xavier and Braden and Kamen, and you got another one coming in the fall. Mm-hmm. Do you like the idea of running back by committee, or would you rather one guy just grabs the job and makes it his?
Yes. Hey, I've been a part of it where we had a guy like Trey Mason or Darren McFadden rush for 1,800, 2,000 yards, and I've been at where we've been more by committee. And the thing about the backs we have here, they are all good. They've had success, and they all have different strengths. And so I think that allows us to maybe do different things with them. And, it may just be simply go with the hot hand. And so, I know last year Xavier had 1,000 every year. I think the year before Wes did. So, hey, we're going to need them all. They're going to get banged up. And, hey, if one guy rises above everyone else, we'll ride him. But we're going to need them all. And if it's a by committee deal, I'm fine with that too.
You mentioned Trey and Cortland going off to the NFL. 283 receptions last year for the team, and 182 of them walk out the door with those two. How much can guys start to separate themselves and show to you and Coach Grew in just this 15 practice window?
Yeah, a lot. First impressions are big. And, you know, the majority of the guys, except for James Prochet, don't have a lot of experience playing. And so it's a great opportunity for them. And, you know, you can look at it both ways. I mean, if you throw the ball exclusively to two people, they're going to have a lot of catches. You know, and, hey, if one or two guys steps up as a go-to guy, great. But if not, if we can have just a good committee of receivers that are all reliable, then it doesn't, as a play caller and as a quarterback, you don't force feed the ball to a guy. You just run the offense, take what's there, and wherever the read takes you, that guy steps up and makes plays. And so, hey, instead of having two guys with closer to 100 catches, you may have 5 or 6 guys with 40, 50 catches. It doesn't matter to me how it works. At the end of the day, we just got to be efficient, and the best guys are going to step up and get it done.
You mentioned James Prochet as the most experienced guy coming back, and Ben Hicks said a few times last year that he was lucky to have 2 number 1 guys in Trey and Cortland.
Yep.
You don't believe there's necessarily a need for a clear number 1, then?
No, I didn't say that. Hey, if you got a
you.
number 1 guy, you got a number 1 guy. And that stuff usually, like the running back, will work itself out. But I think sometimes when you have maybe one guy, you can force the ball to one guy, and it maybe hurts the offense long term. So, hey, the cream will rise to the top. If a guy, you know, emerges as our go-to guy, then in critical situations, that's what we'll do. But at the end of the day, we need a bunch of guys that can do their job and execute at a high level so we can just run the offense and take what's there and not have to necessarily go through one guy, is what I'm saying.
The previous coaching staff used to talk about how important tight ends are to them, and then all of them combined for 4 catches last year. How much do you like to utilize the tight end in the passing game?
I do. I like to use them a lot. And to us, tight ends put their hand down, they flex out, and they play off the ball. So they're versatile guys. You know, we're going to play to their strengths. If they're pass catchers, we'll throw it to them more. If they're not, we won't. With what we do in our offense is they are important even when they're not catching the ball. Those guys have huge roles. They play a lot in the run and the pass game. And so, you know, we'll play to the strengths of what they can do. We got some guys here. We got a freshman coming in. And, you know, I think last year where I don't know how many catches they had, but several of them had double-digit catches. So, you know, if that's something that we can do, we'll do. And I think we got some guys that can make some plays for us.
Ben Hicks has obviously played almost every snap for the last 2 years. But effectively, they're all freshmen to you. Correct. None of them have played for you. How much does his success in the past 2 years factor into your decision, or is it all based on what you see in spring and August when it comes down to who's running
this offense? It's a great question. I mean, hey, it's open at every position. We're a new staff, so everybody gets a fresh start. Obviously, when you've played 2 years and played well lately, you know, you've got the advantage, and that's fine. But he's still got to come earn the job and prove it. And he's got to really prove to his teammates and us that, you know, he's willing to raise his level. So you had a good year last year, but you haven't tapped the ability you have, you know, to the fullest your potential. And so he's got to keep pushing himself. And, you know, if he does, which I know he will, then he can improve off of last year. And but if not, hey, maybe someone else rises up. But there's no question, when you're a returning starter, people can say what they want. You've got an advantage, but nothing's secure.
You hear coaches talk about pro-style quarterbacks who can stand in the pocket and pick apart a defense as opposed to the dual threat guys who can tuck it and run.
Yep.
Given your choice, which do you prefer? A super accurate pocket passer or a guy who can get out?
Both. A guy can do it all. You know, I mean, hey, we're going to play the strengths of our quarterback, whoever that is. And my experience is when you have the guys that can really run it, you run it more with them. And when you guys that can really throw it, you find ways to throw it more. And, you know, we're going to play to the strength of whoever the starting quarterback is. We've had success with both, and you can win a championship with both.